And it's for half an hour, right?
Yeah, it's for half an hour. So, hey everyone, this is Corinne Lafont, your favorite radio host. Not sounding like your favorite radio host right now. I'm a bit horsey, but I guess my voice sounds sexy, nevertheless. So, I'm broadcasting from Trinidad and Tobago, the lovely, beautiful island in the Caribbean. And imagine this, I'm talking to Julia Robinson, who is currently in France, and she's going to be sharing a bit of her travels. You know, she says she's a modern nomad. I love the idea of being a modern nomad. I mean, I live out of my suitcase right now, you know, and she's doing the same, and she'll share a bit about that and the life she's living, free, you know, just the freeness, enjoying everything. And we're talking about intimacy. And I'm going to be showing you in a bit what she calls her book cover, but I'm telling you, it's her leaping on a man. That is what I'm saying. It's her leaping on a man. I'm going to share a bit. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about because you might think I'm crazy. I'm going to show you. So I'm sharing my screen here. See it? It's Julia leaping on a man. She will explain herself in a minute. Let's see if she could explain herself away from this, right? So I'm going to share a bit about Julia. Julia Robinson defines herself as an adventurer. Oh my goodness. I mean, she defines the concept. She's an apt definition for a person who has lived all her life out of the box and out of her suitcase, traveling and getting to know almost 50 countries and spending long periods of time in Nepal, Argentina, Australia, the US, Greece, and her country of origin, England. So clearly, all those times she's been spending, she's picking up all different accents and learning new languages. So here we go, people. We're back to the sharing screen of her leaping on a man here. I want to spend more time. She has a long bio, but I just cut it short there because I want to spend more time talking with Julia about this on intimacy and why is she leaping on a man. Julia.
Hello.
Why are you leaping on this man?
Well, you know, the theme of on intimacy is basically you have to leap. If you're not going to leap, you're not going to make it.
So you're admitting that you're leaping on the man. Oh my God.
Do you know, my first ever affair, I leaped on a man. My first ever, I was 5 years old. I was in the Wendy house, Mrs. Bird's class.
Oh my God.
We were allowed in, just him and I were allowed in to clean up while everyone else was outside in the playground, and I leaped him.
How convenient. You've been doing this damn thing for a long while, Julia.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at it.
From 5 years. So hold on now. Let me go back to that. So when you leapt on the young man, what did he say to you?
Well, we'd been boyfriend and girlfriend for a while by then, and he pushed me away. And that was the end of it. That was my first taste of real intimacy. Oh, wow. And each time it's got a little bit longer.
Julia, oh my God, you're going to make my cough go this morning. Thank you, Lord, for putting Julia into my life this morning. Yeah.
You're going to lose that sexy voice, though.
You understand what I'm saying? That's okay. It's sexy either way, with or without the cough. Girl, what you say?
Nice. Yeah.
Yes. But Julia, the real story behind the book cover, you said it was a photo that was taken of a deep dive. Yeah? Tell us.
Yeah. So it's a friend of mine. She's called Tatiana Druz, D-R-U-Z, and she's from Israel, and she's a wonderful photographer, and she's taken this photograph of two people diving. So it's diving down into a swimming pool, and so it's an ornamental dive. But I took that as the picture on intimacy for the outside of the book, because basically you have to just dive into the void. You have to dive into the uncontrolled. So this is just like, I love this photograph because they can't go back now. Look at the angle of it. Look at where they are. They can't go back.
They're off the edge, damn it. They're off the edge. And I can see how she grips.
Yeah.
She grips the man for life or death. She's taking risks. You know, you talk about
terror.
Yeah, the terror. She's holding on for dear life. I'm sure by the time she hits the water, she's still holding on. So, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's so, used to it, just from the way how his body is framed. He looks like he's used to it, and he can tell from her body that, you know, she's scared, and he has done this so many times. It's nothing to him, you know, whereas for her it's like, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm gonna die. This is my last moment, you know.
Do you know, that's so funny that you say that, because that's pretty much the relationship I'm in right now. I'm in a relationship with a wonderful man who stays very calm, and he holds me well, and I just freak out.
Well, that's what it is. That's what it is. I can see it from. I knew it was you. I knew it was you. You're leaping on the man and calling it a deep dive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The deep dive.
But relationships is like that. You're taking a deep dive of your heart, of your soul, of your emotions. You're going somewhere that you're going somewhere where you don't know where you will end up. Would you hit your head? Would you break a bone? Would the water cushion you? Would, you know, you just don't know. You don't know if the man is going to let go of you midair. You're trusting, you're being vulnerable. You're giving up yourself to somebody. You actually trust a total stranger. I'm sure he's probably a stranger to her, you know. And you're trusting somebody. You have no background, no nothing. You just meet him and that's it. Am I?
And you know, the worst thing for me, the hardest thing for me, is actually that person's going to hold up a mirror and you're going to see yourself.
Yeah.
It's hard, you know. Like the man I'm with right now, the Argentinian man, if he stays very calm, he holds me, and then I see, wow, that whole episode back there that we're not going to go into details about was all me. And it's like, wow, it's painful. It's so painful to see ourselves in new ways. And yet once you get through that, my life just starts to relax and I can dance better through the waves of life.
Yes.
And it's like, yep, okay, I'm not this perfect person I thought I was. I'm not wonderful. I'm not amazing. Because, you know, we do all think that about ourselves. And then suddenly some geezer turns up and says, hey, and they're being real with you. And it's like, I don't want to be real, dude. And then, but it's nice to be able to admit it.
Yeah.
It's so nice. And then it's so relaxing.
I think what it is, what I'm getting from you and what I'm interpreting for myself is that you feel good being you in front of somebody, as opposed to putting up this sort of pretentious other person.
Yeah.
A way of protecting yourself. When you say you're being real, you feel free to be yourself, that the person just accepts you for you, your quirks, your all sorts of different things. And you're like, oh my God, he actually worked around that and he's not fretting, he's not going ballistic, he's not trying to control me, he's not trying to scold me. He's like, okay, Julia is a leaping person. I heard about her since she was 5. You know. I know about her.
And then what?
Right.
And then what we have to do? This person's accepting you. You're saying this person accepts me, and I do not accept myself.
Yeah.
And then it throws you into panic again. Why am I not accepting myself? And you know, you have a wonderful man beside you, showing you your worst side, showing your best side, and saying, "I accept you."
Yeah.
And,
that's wonderful.
And
it's wonderful when you can find that. Are there a lot of Argentinian men like that? Please hook me up.
Yeah. He's right here right now, actually, because we're in the Pompidou in France. He's waiting beside me. Isn't it wonderful?
Yes.
Corinne would like to know if there are a lot more Argentinian men like you.
He can answer. Tell him jump in.
Jump in. Are there more men like you?
Hello.
Hey, we're talking about you. You knew that she was a lead person.
I've got headphones on, so just let me take the headphones off. Hang on.
Yes.
Here you go.
Hello.
Hey, you know she's talking about you, right?
Oh yes, I know.
And you know that she's a leaper. She just told me that she leapt on a young man at 5 years. You know this.
Leaper is a person who sells bad.
Okay.
He knows that. Do you know, we fell in love over Facebook.
Are you
in this
serious?
strange situation. And he plays the Charango, which is an Argentinian guitar,
Nice.
as a type of predecessor to the guitar.
Mhm.
And he said he sent me a message on Facebook, and I've just written this book on intimacy. And I was thinking, I looked through his profile, I thought, yeah, he looks like a type of person who might buy the book. You know, I got that shallow.
Yeah.
I'll accept him if he'll buy the book.
Yeah.
And the next day he says, we have a little Skype conversation between strangers. Next day he says, would you like me to do a private concert for you at the Charango? And I'm like, well, I'm in England, you're in Argentina, you're on the opposite side of the world, that's safe.
Yeah.
He did this Charango gave a little concert to me. I felt myself fall in love over the screen. I didn't think that was possible. He felt the same. That evening, I went around my house trying to pick things up, kept dropping things, breaking things.
Yes.
And a week later, I bought a ticket to go to Argentina.
Are you crazy or are you crazy? Girl, what is going on with you?
Crazy.
I tell you.
Crazy.
Normal people don't do those things. Normal people don't do those things. Right? Because you are all the way in England, he's in Argentina. You know, I mean, meeting on Facebook, that is more than crazy. You know, and you're
That was a year and a month back.
Yeah, but then I wouldn't put it past you. You leapt on a 5-year-old, right, when you were 5. So so I wouldn't put anything past you now, Julia. You're the type. You have the characteristics. But this is awesome.
You know, it was quite funny because he talked to his friend about who I was, you know, before me arriving in Argentina. And he says, wow, this woman, she sounds amazing. She's just written this book. She's a musician. I play the trumpet. She's a traveler. She's a poet. She likes to dance. She's artistic. Yeah. And the guy says, oof, that's bad news. She will not be controllable.
Yes.
You're not going to be able to control her.
And you're not. And that's beautiful. No. That's beautiful. But I wanna do a bit of a comparison quickly. Now, before you entered into this relationship and allowed yourself to be vulnerable and just like the guy and the woman in the photo, you know, do that deep. Yeah. You probably were not that person which you're still dealing with before, and the type of relationships you would have had would have been different. Look at yourself prior to meeting the guy you're with now, and compare with me, and help the listeners, especially women who are going through, you know, because there would be women listening to this and they don't like where they are. They go into relationships and they don't like themselves, or they don't feel happy. They don't feel that joy, you know, and they want to be able to find that sort of freedom, that vulnerability to be who they are. So I want you to compare yourself prior to meeting Mr. Argentina and who you are now. What are the differences in yourself, in your relationship, in your life? Just do a bit of a comparison then and now.
So it's a very interesting question, because I have an issue in the fact that I have very severe premenstrual tension and premenstrual syndrome. I also have a lot of hormones rushing around my body when I'm ovulating as well. Yeah. And I am very difficult in those moments, very difficult.
I can relate to that, believe me.
Yeah. And, you know, where my frustration levels are so high and my tolerance levels are so low, and I can't see the world as it is any longer. So, you know, I only found out about the ovulation about 7 years ago. And I would love women to know that, you know, 15 days before your period, you are high with hormones all over the place. And if the world seems like impossible, if you feel like the worst, and if you feel terrible, check the calendar, because it's not just premenstrual, it's also ovulation. That happens to me twice a month. And for years I've even gone through suicidal thoughts that I know are just escape routes for me, just to stop feeling like I'm living for a while, just because it's just become too difficult for me to live in those moments. It's very, very difficult. I find different treatments, etc., etc. But with a man beside me who can deal with that, who does not freak out, who does not think, who does not think I'm with a nutcase here. She's bonkers. She's crazy. She's loca. But he just says, she's got the hormones going on now. I'm gonna hold her through this. Is amazing. Just to be accepted in your absolute worst, when you might be screaming, you might be crying, and the other person is not running away. The other person is standing there. And in fact, for me, a big breakthrough was when I was just imagine the worst that you've ever been. I was in a bad place, and he held my face with such love. In between his hands, he held my face very softly with such love, and showed me that even though I go those places and I can't control them, it's hormonal, I can't get a grip on them, he still loves me. And strangely, I begin to accept myself, and those moments are less severe.
Yeah.
So the women out there in relationships that they're not feeling accepted in, I think it's actually a self-acceptance. I'm lucky because Fabian, the Argentinian man, is accepting me before I'm accepting me. But I think we're all free to begin the route of self-acceptance, because we talk about self-love, and we have self-love as an ego self-love, which is, for example, I play the trumpet. I play in a gig, play in a concert, come off the stage, I feel great, I'm glowing, I love myself big time, I am feeling great, I'm on top of the world. But it's not just an ego self-love, but it's very strong ego self-love in the fact that I will love myself when the results are as I want them to be. But to love yourself in those moments where you're pulling your hair out, screaming, smashing, when you're doing those things that are just, you don't talk about on radio, the things you don't talk about with your friends, the things that you don't want your boyfriend to know about, and you can still love yourself, and you can still say, you are doing the best you can right now. You are fine, you are valid, you are good enough. In that moment, that's powerful.
Oh, the thing about it, Julia, is that sometimes it takes us a while to get to that place. I've done shows before, talking to people about relationships, and the common thing about it is that we do it ourselves initially, the DIY approach, and we realize that DIY approach in finding our own mate, it doesn't work. It's at that point when you're like, I am done with this. I'm done searching for a man. That I think God, the universe, the source, whatever people want to call it, decides, okay, she has finally given up. I'm going to send the right person for her. So it's not a matter of searching for the person, because when we search, we pick up crap most of the times. There are few people who search with a sort of purpose, or work together with the universe or with God. But for you to find that person and make that connection online is fantastic. And I think you're one of the few, and you're fortunate. And the fact that you're moving around with him, you're free. Fortunately for you, you have no children yet. I don't know if you plan to, but even if you plan to, your children will grow up.
I think I've got too old, actually.
It doesn't matter. You never know. It has nothing to do with your choice. If it is to happen, it will happen. If it is to happen, it will happen. You have no choice in the matter. But the thing about it is, should children be a part of it, they would have already been accustomed and acclimatized to the type of life you live, and would grow into that. They wouldn't know any other life. But your relationship in the past and the relationships you have now, compared to living out of your suitcase, compared to being stable in one place when you were in England, there would have been differences in you, Now you're more probably risk-taking. Probably back then you were not, you were more protective.
Well, it was very interesting. Yeah. I had the 2 years of being single, because I've traveled a lot. I traveled through nearly 50 countries. I've lived in 7 different countries with all different types of cultures. And then I got to the age of 40. I thought, if I don't go back to England now, I will not be able to, because there's a difference in economy, there's a difference in inserting yourself into the workforce, etc. And I got back to England and I knew nobody, because I'd been traveling for 15 years beforehand. And I was... I decided not to make friends just to have friends. I decided to make friends with people I wanted to be with and enjoyed being with, because I've fallen into that trap before of collecting friends just to have friends and not to feel like I'm some kind of oddball, lonely. And I thought, no, I'm going to be strong. And it ended up that in England I have maybe 4 or 5 good friends. But for the first months I was very, very, very alone. Very alone. And I started to write and talk to someone, and that was myself. And that's how the book began. The book began by not being with people. And in those 2 years where I was single, I started to build up a life, etc., etc. But I had a very, very quiet life, living on a farm, without a car, cycling everywhere.
Yeah.
And after that 2 years of writing the book, and basically, if you don't want to read the book, this is what it says in the book. It has 450 pages, but it's just, this is what the message of the book is. You are okay.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. That's what we need. You're okay. It's okay. You're okay to be alone, and you're okay to be with other people. And it took me 2 years of writing through that, because the book is a biography, really.
Mm-hmm.
And writing through it, at first you're writing, very in detail. And then each edition, you read through it fast and fast until your life's blurring in front of you. And you're reading through the whole book and think, wow, that's my life. And suddenly, after 2 years of writing, I realized I am good enough. That's changed. That's what's changed my relationships.
It's an acceptance of you. It's an acceptance of you.
Yeah.
And it takes us a long time. I can tell you, it takes us a long time to accept who you are, because people come into your life and make you feel like you're crap. That you don't deserve it. And
hang on a second. I don't think that people can make us crap. I think we can make ourselves crap.
You're absolutely right. We give them the permission.
My partner says you can't break somebody else's heart. You can break your own heart.
You're absolutely
You can't affect other people's emotions. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we give them the permission. We give them the permission.
Yes, exactly. We give our power away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And that's why I said they make us feel like that, but it's really, when you look at it, it's not, you can't blame them. It's really you. But at the time, you're not thinking that, because you're saying to yourself, you love the person, you care for the person, but that person isn't reciprocating. And you're like, why am I being treated that way? Why am I getting that back when I'm giving so much? So you see it really as they are giving out crap to you, not that you are giving them the permission to. It is only after you have done enough introspection, and like how you have said, spend some alone time away from friends, you're not interacting, you have that meditative, like what those monks do, and they go away and have a spiritual journey and they discover about themselves and take time. You had that time, and it took you a while before you can come to the conclusion that I'm okay, I'm good enough, I am the best, I am the sexiest. I tell people I'm the sexiest thing on the planet. There's nobody better than me, there's no other than me. There's only one Corinne. People might say, oh, you remind me of somebody, or you look like somebody, or are you related to so and so? It doesn't matter. There's no other than me. And no,
you're unique.
Yeah. Right.
And just getting back to that, I'm giving so much, why I'm not getting anything back.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I used to overgive I overgave,
Yeah, yeah,
and I didn't get a lot back. I used to feel I was getting crumbs off the table after
that's
someone
right.
else's feast.
Yeah, yeah,
And
that makes
since I
sense.
feel that I am good enough, I don't overgive, and that gives space for other people to give. So
Yeah.
this idea that the man isn't giving
Mhm.
because and I'm giving so much
Mhm.
is another fallacy where we're actually maybe overgiving to not receive because we don't think we deserve it.
Yeah. But at what point do you
All
decide how
sorts
much
of
to
things
give?
going on.
At what point do you decide how much to give? At what point do you decide when to
Yeah,
hold
I
back?
think it's a balance. I think it's a balance where you if you can stay in contact with your own feelings,
Mhm.
it's a balance that you choose moment by moment. Sometimes you can give everything and not expect anything back, and other times not give anything and receive. And I think it's very, very hard to receive.
Mhm.
It's very hard. I think that's what we need to be concentrating on, rather than how much have I been giving,
Mhm.
is am I allowing myself to receive?
Yes. 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 I'm showcasing your pictures here, your different
Oh,
travels,
there you go.
blowing the trumpet.
That was where I was living in England there. That's the farm, you see.
Yeah.
And
Do
that was
you
in
think that
Greece
that
last time.
traveling and the exposure that you've had being in various countries has helped you to grow, to develop, to be open, to be accepting of
Do
you?
you know what? Yeah. I think what it does when you travel is that, for example, let's say in Spain, they eat omelettes for dinner.
Hmm.
And I say in Spain, should we have an omelette for breakfast? And they say, are you crazy? Eres loca. Of course we're not going to have an omelette for breakfast. That's
Yeah.
crazy. You go to America and you say, would you like an omelette for dinner? And they go, are you being crazy? That's
Crazy.
omelettes for
That's
breakfast.
right. Omelette is for
Yes,
breakfast.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you start to realize that people have their own structures of what they think should be and what everything is. You
Mm-hmm.
move somewhere else and it's completely different. So that totally picks in again to if you were the man who's not treating you well and you think that's how it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Traveling is like having a different man. You kind of
Yeah.
leave the man, feel confident enough to make the decision that this. I once had a relationship, and someone gave me some very good advice. Is the man adding to your life more than if you're single?
Wow.
And if not, then we have one life,
Mm-hmm.
and in that case, it's good to be selfish.
Yes.
Because there's all of this thing about don't be selfish and stuff, but there is good selfish and there's bad selfish. Bad selfish is there are two plates of food, you eat both of them, the other one goes hungry and you're full and you've eaten too much. But good selfish is I create my life so I am happy and I can give happiness to people around me. And if I've been in a relationship that's been abusive, I was hit and I was not worth anything to anybody. And that was bad compassion. I had compassion for the person. They had a very difficult childhood. I loved the person. That person had not felt love in the way that I gave that person love. And when the person felt insecure, I got hit, and I allowed that to happen because I had compassion. It was bad compassion, and I should have been selfish, because by the end of that relationship that went on for 2.5 years, I was on the floor, and it took me a long time to get back up. And when we're useless, we're no good really to anyone if we let ourselves be in situations where we're destroyed. It's our responsibility for this one life we have. Like Mary Oliver says, what will you do with this one wonderful life? To
Yeah.
create. And we're all unique, like you say. Everybody has a uniqueness. No one else can tell us when to eat omelette.
Yeah.
No one else can tell us how to be, because we are unique, and it's our responsibility to grow our tree, the tree of who we are. And if it's with, and some people need shade, some people need sun, people need quiet, some people need to travel, some people need to be in the same place, some people need to be with someone who's terrible to them to make them wake up. That woke me up. getting to the end of that relationship and not knowing how to cut my own fingernails because I wasn't sure any longer. I was unfaithful to myself.
Yes.
And I think good selfish is good.
Yes. I totally agree with you. And I'm switching over now to where you have buy the book.
Okay.
Yeah, buy the book. You have two different versions. I was on your website here a while ago
Yeah.
where feature in your book. Yeah. You have two versions, the purple back cover. Yeah, and
And the blue back cover. The blue back cover is I wrote it for my mum actually, and I used to play the trumpet in a swing band, which is cool, and a brass band, which is not cool, with people who have different limits. So I wrote the blue book for my mum and the people in the brass band, so that they would be able to read it as well. So it has no swear words in it, and it has 2 chapters taken out that are erotic. So the purple back has an 18 sign on it, which is probably a bit too much, but it does have an 18, just to say it has erotic material inside, because I thought it was impossible to write a book without sexuality in it.
Yes.
And also, I studied a master's in psychoanalysis, and then went on to study symbolism and alchemy, and the sexual chapters are actually paralleled with that knowledge that I picked up about alchemy. So I actually find it to be very poetic and beautiful, but I didn't want my mum to read it.
But people, one of the things is that that is another version of vulnerability, and allowing your mom, somebody who raised you, because she might start to think, oh my God, this is not the daughter that I raised. But that's fine. I mean, people need to see you for who you are, accept you for who you are. And I think at some point, just like when you talk about selfish, at some point you need to demand in a respectable way, this is who I am. You either accept me or you don't.
Yeah, well, they didn't actually for a long time, and now they gave up on me, which is wonderful. Wonderful, and now we have a very nice relationship. It's more distant than I would like it, in my ideal world with my ideal mum, but I'm not her ideal daughter either, and we get on very well now.
That's right. But it's this whole thing about intimacy also links to sexuality, like you said, and a lot of women, I don't know about men necessarily, but I guess men maybe, but women, because I'm a woman, I can only speak for that, would be very sometimes cautious rather, about opening up themselves about who they really want to be. I know there are women in relationships that are tigers or want to be tigers in the bedroom or with their mate or whoever, but they have to be like the pussycats. Because if they were to be tigers, their mates might think, who the hell am I dealing with? Who is this woman? I never knew you to be this way. Where did this come from? When really there's a tiger living inside of you.
Yeah. So it comes down to self-acceptance again, doesn't it? Because if we become absolute tigers in bed and the men become afraid and they're not able to dominate and we're going out of the schemes of what they know how to be comfortable in, and they leave us, are we prepared to be who we want to be, or are we going to be who we want our partners to be? It's a big question. And I've met many, traveling, I've met many people, and I'm making this, but I think this is true. That if you were to leave a man who did not accept who you were, because you're being a tiger in bed, for example, or anything where you're being rejected for being who you are, it won't be instant, but the next person will, because you won't accept someone who doesn't accept you. And your life will be better. So, I mean, in the long run, it's much better. And then, for example, with Mr. Argentina, who is still sat here very patiently and smiling, Oh, I've lost my train of thought. Oh, we have situations where we go out of each other's comfort zones. We come from different cultures. We speak in Spanish. Sometimes there's a little bit of difference of understanding certain words. I speak in Spanish. He speaks in Argentinian Spanish. And sometimes we have big misunderstandings. And after, it's about talking through it as well, dialogue.
Yes.
So, if you want to be a tiger in bed, and then the man finds that really difficult, it isn't necessary that you're going to be rejected because of it. It might enrich your relationship, because the man might then be able to start to understand his boundaries and what's going on with him, and maybe has boundaries that are too small. And who wouldn't want a tiger in bed? I'm just going to ask that from on a masculine side.
Yeah.
Who would not want a tiger in bed? Do you like tigers in bed, Mr. Argentine?
What do you mean when you say tiger in bed?
Very passionate woman.
Oh yes, I like very much.
Just
Oh my God, he's so sweet. He's so sweet.
You're so sweet.
He's so sweet. But what do you say, Julia, as we're coming to the end of the show? What do you say to the women who are compromising themselves just to have a man in their life? Because maybe their friends have one, you go out, you see people out as couples, you're at that age and you're like, how could I be alone? All my other friends have someone, or they're taken. You whatever, or you feel you're supposed to be at that age, settle down, have somebody. What do you say to the women that are compromising their standards, their self-acceptance, just to have a man on their arm, or to be out with somebody, just to fit in with society? What do you say to that person?
Well, with the word compromise, a relationship is a compromise. So I wouldn't like people who are in a good relationship to suddenly hear this and say, I'm compromising, I'm out. But you're not asking that question. You're asking, actually compromising their core principles and modifying themselves to be liked. I would say to those people, and to myself, because I'm sure that none of us here are actually fully enlightened, are we? That it's a funny thing to have insecurities. Philip Larkin, an English poet, this has a swear word in the line, swear words permitted on this radio show. I'll just say the F word.
Yes, you can say it.
Oh, you can say it. Philip Larkin has a line, and this poem starts with, parents fuck you up, you know.
Yeah.
And basically we've all had parents who are humans, and we've not all had children, but when we do have children, I've not met one perfect parent. We all have our issues, we all have our problems, because we're all compromising. In the world, there's 7 billion of us now, and we're all 7 billion uniques, difference, and we have to compromise here and there. But it also creates insecurities within us when we are different. So what I would suggest, and this is what I have done a lot, is when you're feeling insecure, to stop. Just stop in that moment and trying to feel, what is it that you're insecure about? You might hear something. You might hear a baby inside you crying. You might hear part of you saying, I can't, I don't want to, I'm not feeling strong enough, I don't think I can do this. To sit down alone, or if you're in a situation where you can be accompanied in a loving way, but I do this alone, only sit down, imagine that part of you in your arms and love it like a baby. Because that's the route out. The route out is to begin to accept ourselves as we are. We are all good enough as we are. We don't need to be more.
Yes.
We don't need to be anything other than we are, our own unique self, which is completely different to the person beside us. So you can't copy the person beside you and then they're okay, so I'm okay.
Yeah.
Be yourself.
Yeah.
And to do it on purpose.
Yeah. I love that. Be yourself and to do it on purpose. I love that. That's a great way to end the show, Julia. And You know, it'll be wonderful for persons to get a copy of your book. I'm sure it's available on Amazon, or they can come on
Yeah,
your
it's on Amazon.
right, and you know, persons can get it from off your website as well. It's been
Yeah.
a pleasure talking with you, Julia, and I want to
Same here.
yeah, I want to extend such added joy. I'm sending you love, the vibration of love to you in France.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm
Thank you.
sending.
Merci beaucoup.
Yeah, nice. And you know, France is a place I've always wanted to visit, Paris, France, because my name is French, it's Lafont, and I
Oui.
think I'm obligated to be in France at some point. You know, and, you know, I am happy to know that it's always good for me to hear when a woman has found joy and happiness, and it makes me feel that I can get the same in time too. And everybody has their own timing. Nobody knows when, how, why, and through who. And one of the key things I want to say to women too and men is that we grew up with, just like how you said, the poet said, you know, parents fuck you up, you know, and we have our white and shining armor, our image that we society puts in our minds who that man or woman should be. But as we get older and we get wiser, hopefully, we should know that we shouldn't have the package in a box, you know, we should be open. We don't know what that person who can really add value to our lives can look like, be like. You may like a slim guy and he end up being fat and chubby, but he can bring
Oh,
good joy.
Fabian is a short man. He's 10 centimeters shorter
All
than me.
of that,
That's 10
all of that.
centimeters, 3
Yeah,
inches,
right,
4 inches shorter.
right. It could be anything. Or his eyes are not bluing up, or one might be blue, one might be brown. I don't know. He may be bald. He may have some hair. He may have a receding hairline. It doesn't matter. You know, you just need to be open to love. Love has no color. It has no limit. It has no conditions. So in order for us to really get love into our life, to bring the joy, to attract it into our lives, we have to be in a place where we are open and accepting. And I really want to reiterate, you know, be purposeful, you know, do it on purpose, accept yourself. I really love that. Thank you so much, Julia, for being on Between the Lines.
Thank you. Thank you.
I appreciate you, and I
Thanks.
appreciate, is it Fabian you said his name is? I appreciate him.
Fabian.
Yes, you know, and
You
he
are
has
appreciated.
yes, and he has a responsibility to introduce me to other Argentinian men who may be like him. So I'm putting the vibration.
Well, I'll be setting up a website soon.
Very good. Keep me in mind.
Free Argentinian men who are ready to be leapt on.
That's a very good title. I will be the first one there to leave. I will be the first one there. Make sure you tell nobody else but me first. So
you can have the Prime account.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. That's right. I will have a special account where I can do all the leaping that I want. Okay? Thank you. I don't need to speak the language because leaping has no language. So
yes.
Thank you so much, Julia. You've been a joy. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much. Same here.
Yes, and I hope one day, you know, you have to say it, one day I'm going to meet you and we're going to have, I don't drink coffee, but I see us sitting in a lovely cafe and just having wine and talking and laughing loud and just enjoying the moment. That's what I see. And I look forward to being on that different nomadic journey with you and just experiencing life, being free and just having wonderful female energy hormonal moments. Yeah?
Yes.
Thank you
Go,
so
sister.
much. Thank you so much.
You.
And you have a wonderful life. Please keep in touch. You know, I love when I follow through on my guests, see where they are, and you know, I really enjoy what you have shared today, and I'm sure other women will. Thank you so much for being on Between the Lines.
Thank you.